Welcome to Whachacha's Tabletop World, the channel devoted to the love of board gaming. My name is Sweetness Whachacha, and today we're looking at The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring trick-taking game. This is my thoughts on the game. These are my thoughts on the game. If you want to see an overview of the game, click on the link below. Okay, so my thoughts on The Fellowship of the Ring trick-taking game. Okay, so first of all, I should say I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. It's one of my favorite IPs out there. I really love the books. I've read them a million times. I love Peter Jackson's movies. I'm kind of in that, maybe, I don't know if it's a rare camp of loving the books and the movies, and I know the differences therein. So let's start with, naturally then, since we're talking about it, the theme. The theme is really enjoyable. I feel that the Lord of the Rings, of course, is peoples coming together to resist the darkness of Sauron and Mordor and the power of Mordor. And it lends itself quite well to a cooperative gaming experience. There's a lot of Lord of the Rings, cooperative games out there, and so that's kind of a natural fit. So I think it works quite well. Even just like looking at the components and things, there's like a lot of things that I find to be very enjoyable. Let's take the box for instance. Like this part 1, part 2, no admittance except on party business. Okay, and then part 2, keep it secret, keep it safe. Like just that is just wonderful. I should mention that I'm not going to be doing any spoilers here. I'm just looking at anything you would see in the opening scenario. So like just, Grey Wizard, Fool, Pippin's a fool. I just love that. He's a little peculiar. He's a ring bearer. So there's like some interesting little, nods here and there. It's of course is an abstract game. So, the actual mechanisms of the game are going to be somewhat, they're going to be abstracted. They have to be for a game of this nature. But I think like enjoying those books and looking, like each chapter, you're getting this, you're going to get that little story on there and the different characters and things. So you are going to feel like, the differences in each of the scenarios. You are going to feel like, okay, this is this part of the book. These are the characters that represent that. And I feel like, for an abstract game, I do feel like it's got a lot of flavor. They made sure to put a lot of flavor and a lot of cute little nods and things that will just sort of warm your heart when you read them and stuff. So I feel like they really, for an abstract game, really knocked it out of the park with the theme. Now, the components. Well, let's look at the components. So let's take a look here. Firstly, like I told you, these boxes and the fact that they are secretive is pretty cool. They have like these little fabric pieces that you can pull the cards out with so they don't get stuck in there. Just this sort of, I don't know, embossed cover, like how gorgeous is that? And the artwork, oh my God, they're like these stained glass pieces. I mean, they're just incredibly wonderful. And of course, this is just the opening set. There's tons of cards and tons of characters that I'm not going to be showing you right now because those are going to be kind of surprises in the scenario boxes there. And then, you look at the suit cards. I mean, these look like stained glass as well. All the different, I mean, they're gorgeous. I mean, they're nothing short of gorgeous. Just look at that artwork. Just beautiful, just the way that all this is set up. It's really one of the loveliest sets of art in a game I've ever seen. And then even these, like having these wooden tokens, they're very nice. They're very colorful. And the One Ring card, which is very functional. You can instantly tell, oh yeah, nothing's been played yet. Okay, it's been played. And of course, they're very nice, satisfying little discs. They're just very lovely. And then each of the scenarios having their own card, which I mentioned has the story, which is really pretty awesome. And then of course, just the different victory conditions and stuff like that. So the components, I mean, this is a pretty inexpensive game. The art, as I say, is some of the best I've ever seen in any game, really. I mean, absolutely top-notch production here for and a lot of variety in the box as well. I guess that's a natural sort of lean into that, like it's all this wonderful characters and all these things and all these surprises. When you first start off playing, you're like, ooh, how are they going to handle this? What are they going to do with this? So I really love that aspect of it. I love the fact that like the goals are always changing. Now, let's pause for a second because I do want to talk about the game as a whole. I should back up here for a second because, there's going to be two kind of camps of people that might be interested in this. There's people that haven't played the crew and there's people that have played the crew. Okay, so what is the crew? If you don't know, it is a cooperative trick-taking game as well. I believe that those are the only two. There's two crew games, Outer Space and Deep Sea, and then there's, of course, this game. And we got to believe there's going to be, a Two Towers coming out and a Return of the King coming out as well. That's pretty much a no-brainer. And, so if you liked the crew, really feel like this is something that you're going to enjoy. If you enjoy the crew, it's the same kind of thing, right? The crew has a way of having different, objectives and things per game, so it kind of keeps things interesting, keeps things fresh, so you're not playing the same thing over and over again. And this does it in the same way. And the way that this game kind of does it is by having these different character cards, because each of the games is going to require a different set of characters you can kind of pick. I really like that. I love the fact that you can kind of, that you're like, well, I feel really strongly about, I feel like I'm going to lose everything, so I'm taking Pippin, or I feel like I'm going to win a lot, so I better take Bilbo, and then when you're swapping cards and stuff, you want to set it up so that like each of the characters can get their own goal. Now, I'm kind of limited in scope here because I'm just talking about these opening 4 characters, but even like think of the mechanism of Gandalf. You think, oh, I want to get that lost card. He's got that extra knowledge. He always knows more than everybody else knows. He's always keeps his cards close to his chest. I really love just even that. So there's a lot of those interesting little choices. I like being able to pick the character associated with it. That's really, really great. So I think that in this world of, the crew, and not playing the crew, if you haven't played the crew, if you have played the crew, this is, like I said, a no-brainer, because I feel like this theme and everything, and the fact that you're going through this story and the goals are all changing, etc., and it plays, very similar to the crew, and if you enjoyed that, yes, absolutely, you should buy this. You can turn off the video now. I would absolutely tell you to do that, or recommend that you should do that, I should say. Now, if you haven't played the crew, but you do really enjoy trick taking, this also seems like a no-brainer. So, it's a lot of people love to play competitive games. That's great. But sometimes it's kind of nice to try something a little different out. If you're a big fan of trick taking games, this is just a little bit of a difference. You can work together. I also think this is a really fun thing in terms of like the way that it's, because it is through scenarios and you're just playing through those chapters. I think this is like a great thing for, and the games, they play pretty quickly. I feel like, you could play through a game in 15 minutes. I don't know, something like that. It's hard to, because they do get different, and there's some short and long, so it's a little harder to quantify that. But I mean, some of the early scenarios certainly can be played through very, very quickly. And this is the sort of thing where I feel like, have a nice dinner. It's kind of like something to look forward to say, oh, we finished dinner, clear the plates, put the game out and just play a quick scenario. Something, not quite a filler, but something like that, where it might be kind of a nice little tradition for the week to say every night, after dinner, we're just going to play a little, play one of the scenarios. And there's that excitement about looking forward to what's going to be the next scenario, how they're going to change things, how they're going to implement one of those, those key moments or key characters in the game. That's super, super fun, and it just keeps things, refreshing enough to find it enjoyable. Now, I myself am not a big fan of trick-taking games. I don't really like them, but I did find this to be very enjoyable because of that puzzle. If you don't get it right, you can play it again. Sometimes the deck is going to be stacked against you. There's just, there might be, you might have no way to win. You just you don't know it, Playing solo-wise, I find that to be quite easy as well. I'm a big solo player. I don't know if there's that much meat on the bone for me where I find like it's super, super exciting to play solo, but certainly, it's a quick kind of a solo game, so that's kind of a nice thing about it, and it's very close to the, the rules are very close to the normal game, so that aspect of it is nice. And, trick taking has a strategy, but it's kind of like poker. It's any card game where you have like a random set of cards. You're doing the best you can with the hand that you have, so I think that's a really kind of a cool thing. I also like that they have that short victory where if you have everything solved, you can just stop playing. Now, not to bring back the crew again, but playing the crew, I only played that game to 2 players. I played a pretty good amount of it. I mean, I probably played 40 or 50 games of it. They're pretty quick to play. And I found I probably only lost maybe 1 or 2. I found the game was like very, very easy. But I find at the lower player count, I mean, this game, of course, the opening scenario is a little bit easier, but I feel like it has a nice gradual, difficulty increase. It's not overly easy. It's not overly hard, as you go. I'm not talking about too much about spoiler territory, as I said, but I do feel like, the crew I thought was a really neat game, but I also thought it was a little bit too easy at a lower player count. Again, I think this one does a much better job of providing a good challenge without being like crushingly difficult or anything like that. Also, I don't have kids, but if I had kids, I would think it'd be kind of fun to like, play with a younger crowd, maybe read them a chapter of the book, and then you play a chapter of the game, and then like, okay, maybe tomorrow we'll play another one or something. I think that's kind of a neat thing. I always like to tie those things in together, different activities and things, and making both experiences more enjoyable. So to sum up, incredible production, very inexpensive, some of the loveliest art I've ever seen in a game. A lot of variety in terms of like going through that story, Very thematic for an abstract game. Lots of cute little nods and things that really will, and you find it very endearing. Yeah, just overall great production. Pretty easy to learn. If you know trick-taking games, very easy to kind of play. But each round you're going to have, each scenario you're going to have a different mix of characters to create, you know, have new goals and that to go for, and new victory conditions to keep things fresh and exciting. So yeah, I think this is a clear winner if you like trick-taking games. Even for me, who is not a big fan of trick-taking games, I think this is a really incredible game. So hopefully that helps you decide whether or not this game is for you. If you want to see the overview on the game, click on the link below. But for now, I gotta roll.